Good morning everybody and welcome to another Johto Solo Run on the RetroBrown channel. Today we are doing a solo run with just Hoppip. Yeah, and I know I've already done the Jump Bluff and the Skip Bloom line, but they are very tedious, so I'm kind of just trying to get this one out of the way. It's the very first stage evolution of this line, Grass Flying type, base stat total of 250, and considering how hard those other two runs were, I'm not got the best expectations for this one. But at least we know what sort of strategy we also need to do for this Pokemon line. Pretty much the best way to use this Pokemon line in the solo run, you need Leech Seed, you need Sleep Powder, you need Synthesis, and you need Return. Best 4 moves for this Pokemon, completely the best 4 moves. Attract is like an optional one you can have. You can also use Rest for later fights. But yeah, it's going to be difficult. And of course, we don't even start off with Tackle at this point. We only get level 10. Which means we're going to have to get rid of all of our PP at some point very, very soon. But we're going to head towards Mr. Pokemon's house. And then go against the rival at level 5. Just to see how we do. And of course, we're probably not going to do very well without any attacking moves. This Pokemon is... It's basically a support Pokemon. The evolutions are very fast. And even at 50 base speed in its base form, it's not great. But its evolutions get a lot more speed, and with getting Sleep Powder, definitely helps out on a team-based team. A team-based team? Yeah, that you can tell it's early morning while I'm recording this, but either way. Yeah, that Grass Flying type's really not going to help us out, especially when we give this rival the Cyndaquil. So, let's go against the rival, and as you can see here, using Tail Whip, Synthesis, and Splash, we don't have much to work with until we get an attacking move such as Tackle. So all we can do, just burn through as much PP as possible here, because pretty much we're going to need it to go against Falconer later on, because we need Tackle, and we also will go against a lot of optional trainers here. Our rival for today is going to be Caleb. Thank you for subscribing and welcome to the channel. Let's see how we do here, because you're going to give me a really hard challenge. Falconer is going to be a difficult one, considering we do have the grass type in, even though we have that flying subtype. It also means that, yeah, it's going to be a hard matchup. And once we can go into this patch of grass here, we can start getting rid of all of our PP. I'm not going to show you the whole fight, of course, because Splash has got 40 PP alone, Synthesis has got 5, Tail Whip's in the 30s. So yeah, it's a lot of PP to get rid of, and the Metapods are the best Pokemon to get rid of all your PP on. Once we've got rid of all the PP though, we can start using Struggle to gain some experience and deal out some damage. But it also means we're going to use all of our money right at the start of this fight, well, right at the start of the run, because we need to buy potions. And ideally the best Pokemon to be going against to get some experience here is the Metapods. They give the most experience for this area. And yeah, even struggling here at level 5, as long as we don't get him into struggle range, we can get some experience. But yeah, we need to start using our potions up to actually deal out some damage with struggle. Pidgeys are a good Pokemon to try and take out, because they don't take many hits to take out. And that means you can only use about 6 HP to take it down. When we finally get up to level 9, after using all of our money, using struggle, which is starting to increase in power thanks to, well, leveling up, of course, we hit level 10, we can get Tackle, meaning this arduous journey here of using struggle comes to an end, and we can finally use a move to attack with. So let's see how we do against youngster Joey and his top percentile Rattata. With Tackle and us being level 10, it's not a problem whatsoever, and youngster Joey needs to go train up a bit more. We go against every single optional trainer, bringing us all the way to the top of Sprout Tower, which I don't do on most runs because I'm trying to get the best times, and this slight deviation does take up quite a bit of time. At level 13, we got Poison Powder, which is pretty good for a lot of Pokemon, especially if you're trying to take them out quicker. But against the Bellsprouts with green Grass Poison, Poison Powder will not affect them. We can pretty much reduce their defenses with Tail Whip, and we also get the move Spore, which I'm not going to learn because out of the Poison, Paralysis, and Sleep is easily the most powerful one that we need. We can, however, poison the Hoot, meaning we can then start using Tail Whips, get its defenses low, and then use a Tackle to take it out. We can also use Synthesis when our HP gets low, meaning we can get a lot more longevity in fights. That's one of the reasons why this is, even though it will take you a long time, it's a good Pokemon to solo run with, because Synthesis at this early level gives you the longevity you need to make this work. It's not the most varied moveset that you can change throughout the whole game, but it's a moveset which works. We pick up the HM05 Flash, the escape rope, and head over to Falconer's Gym. Let's see how we do. Falconer, of course, has a Pidgey and a Pidgeotto, the Pidgeotto being massively underleveled, but technically it's also not, it's just underleveled from evolution level. But in Kanto you actually can find level 9 Pidgeottos, so who knows what the lore technically is there. Can some Pokemon evolve a lot earlier, like, and break the game rules, but who knows. Against Pidgeotto it's a lot more threatening because it does have the move Gust. We managed to get it poisoned, we started lowering its defenses, and as our HP gets low we use Synthesis to recover half our HP here. This means that we can also stall him out with poison, and when we're ready to, we'll just tackle him into the ground. That's Falconer being first time. Yes, we're kind of high level for it, but I'm a base stage grass flying type going against a flying type gym leader. I think I deserve that. But there's also more tough trainers coming up as well, especially this guy with the Onix here. Best way to take down these rock type Pokemon, especially in the early game, is to keep Poison Powder. We're going to be getting Sleep Powder very, very soon though, and to be fair, yeah, well, we have picked up Sleep Powder. It's just, you need that combination in this early game to start dealing out more damage against Pokemon who have got the resistance to tackle. Thankfully, there aren't all too many rock types in the entire game. Bruno's got one. Jasmine's steel types are going to be an issue as well, with their steel types being resisted to normal type moves. With those movesets, it's honestly going to be quite a hard run, but as soon as we get Leech Seed, this will become so much easier. At level 20, we do get Leech Seed just before the Slowpoke Well conclusion, and the Coffin, with Sleep Powder and Leech Seed, will not be able to stand up to us. It does manage to wake up and use Smog and poison us, but because we have Leech Seed set up, we can always recover HP, meaning our longevity in this fight will completely outweigh the Leech Seed damage that it does to him. That's Slowpoke Well completed, and that means we can try the rival. Now, the big problem about this rival is the fact that he has a Ghastly. This is literally the most difficult thing about this fight, is the fact he has a Ghastly. So we need to keep it asleep, and we need to Leech Seed it into the ground. We need to keep some Tackle PP for the later Pokemon, but thankfully Tackle does have a lot of PP to work with, meaning we can stall out this Ghastly as much as we can, keep it asleep, but we also need to retain some Sleep Powder PP, because the next two Pokemon coming up are very difficult. And of course that means the Quilava with Ember. It will do a lot of damage if it actually hits us, so once we've Sleep Powder Leech Seed comboed, we tackle and try to chip away at its damage. And hopefully, it woke up and used Smokescreen. That was close. If it had used Ember, honestly, even at this level, I was trying this quite a lot, it was a one-shot KO even at this level. Its Ember was doing ridiculous amounts of damage. And it puts it in perspective again why I believe this rival is the most difficult fight of the rival fights in this game. Let's see how we do against Bugsy. Bugsy, of course, he's got two pretty useless Pokemon, but one of them less useless than the other. His Kakuna has Poison Sting, and considering we are a grass type which is weak to poison, we need to make sure it gets to sleep, otherwise we are going to lose a lot of HP if we get poisoned. So unfortunately Sleep Powder does not hit on the first time, but he doesn't go for Poison Sting, he goes for Harden. Now with Leech Seed, it's always going to chip away at them, and that means we will eventually win as long as we can keep our HP. We're at 53 HP going to Cypher, and straight away we want to Sleep Powder it so it doesn't start accumulating damage with its Fury Cutter. Tackle will just chip away at it, as well as Leech Seed, and gradually get back our HP. Cypher decides to stay asleep for the entire time, right until the last moment, where a Quick Attack does not get the win. So our... both first two gym leaders we managed to beat first time, but when you've got Sleep Powder on your moveset, especially in this early game of Johto, where they've got cumulative moves such as Rollout and Fury Cutter, you need a move like Sleep Powder. Talking about rollout, let's see how we do against Whitney. Whitney, number 3 gym leader with the plain badge. Starts off with a Clefairy, which is a weird choice considering there are a lot of good normal types in Johto. Stantler being one, honestly, I'd really like the Stantler line. It was class when it got weird here in Gen 8. And then Miltank, which it's such a beast, this Pokemon. I have not done a Miltank run yet, but I'm assuming it is going to really steamroll the entire game. We have picked up the move Return in Celadon, in Goldenrod Department Store, but this time Rollout managed to accumulate because we couldn't hit our sleep powders, and that's the difference. Getting the sleep powder off is paramount to any strategy with the Hoppip line. Using Leech Seed as well means you can chip away because they do not deal out enough damage. Like, we're level 28, we're about 10 levels above that Clefairy, and Return was just not doing enough damage. But it chips away as well as Leech Seed, and this is why these runs take so long, is because you have to rely on this strategy. Annoyingly, Miltank wakes up, uses Milk Drink, so we have to put it back to sleep. Rollout on the first turn does not do all too much, but thankfully getting it back to sleep means we can get through this fight with full HP. She has a cry, we go and get the badge. I always found it weird that in this generation they had 2 gym leaders that decided to go and have a little cry after you've beaten them. I mean, Whitney you can kind of understand because she is a kid, but Claire's like a grown adult. It's weird. Once we've beaten all the Kimono girls, we can pick up Surf, meaning we can extend our reach into this game. And we're also going to go against the optional fight of the rival in Burnt Tower. Caleb, let's see how you do here. He starts off this time with his Haunter, and again, it's the same strategy. We need to Leech Seed, we need to keep it asleep. He goes for the useless move, Mean Look, because, well, we're a solo runner. We're not going to switch out our Pokemon. We do that in a monotype run, but not in this type of run. So, using Mean Look gives us a free turn. Leech Seed will do all of its damage. And the worst thing is, this Haunter also now known Spite, which reduces your PP on your moves. Now, when you're a solo runner, of course, that's a really bad thing, especially if you're using moves with very little PP. We get the Quilava asleep, and straight away 3 returns takes it down. He manages to wake up, and that brings us into Magnemite. Now, this poses another problem. Honestly, I feel like the Rivals team in Gen 2 is constructed extremely well. Uses use of the Steel type with Magnemite, and Magnemite is such a threat in this game compared to Gen 1. That Steel typing was the best thing it ever got. Before we even go against Morty, of course, we actually are going to go against every single optional fight, because I want that experience before we go against Morty. We need that HP to make that fight work. We go and pick up the Ether, we go against every single optional trainer, especially in Olivine Lighthouse. And by the time we get to Morty, we're going to be just close to level 40. Now, you might think that is a lot of levels just to go against Morty, but think about it, we don't have an attacking move unless we had gone for Mega Drain, which doesn't deal out much damage, and I'd rather keep Return. But yeah, once we've beaten all the trainers here, we can see how we do against Morty. So Morty, even though this generation line started off with introducing one new Ghost type, he doesn't use it whatsoever, which is really annoying. I would love to have seen Misdreavus in this fight, even just getting rid of that first Ghastly or one of the other Haunters. That way we would have kept all of the Ghastly line and introduced the new Ghost type, but he doesn't. Reason why we needed all the HP for this fight, we were going to use the struggle strats here. It was the best strategy I could come up with, because I tried this a few times using the Leech Seed Sleep Powder tactics, and I ran out of PP way too quickly about the second Haunter. Struggle though deals out a lot more damage, and by the time we get through it, we're on about half HP. That's the 4th badge, and we can progress on to Olivine City. Well, not Olivine City, Cianwood City. We've gone across the ocean, and of course we go against the Dojo Brothers here. The reason why I call them the Dojo Brothers is because you have to fight them one after the other. There's no break in between. If you're on low HP going into one of them, well, the second one, you're really not going to do too well, because the Hitmonchan does have elemental punches. Yes, it's not great with elemental punches, but it just means that if you go into a Pokemon and he uses Fire Punch or Ice Punch on us, like he just stood there, you could easily get frozen or burned. Comet Punch isn't the worst of moves to have in this point in the game as well, but we even get burnt against this Hitmonchan. So after that, we use our burn heal, and we head on to Chuck, the fighting type gym leader. He is going to be a weird trainer, to be fair. We just kind of need to hit him hard and hit him fast. That seems to be becoming a recurring phrase on my channel that I'm saying. And as long as we can get his Pokemon to sleep, it shouldn't be too much of a problem whatsoever. Let's see how we do. Chuck starts off with his Primeape, the Pokemon that Bruno should have had. Well, to be fair, his entire team, a Pokemon that Bruno should have had in Gen 1, really, with Primeape being a great fighting type, and Poliwrath recently becoming a new SS tier Pokemon on my channel. It was honestly such a great run, that one. If you haven't watched it, go back and have a look. Anyway, Chuck also does have full heals, so when you do hit your sleep powers, he will use them. And of course, he has Dynamic Punch, which can confuse us. But because of our Grass Flying type, it's resisted, and it means pretty much we're not really going to struggle here, because Leech Seed will deal its damage and get us the win. We are massively over-leveled to level 43, of course, but you know what? I'll take the win where I can. This brings us back to Olivine, and of course we need to deal with the Steel-type trainer, Jasmine. And this is going to be a tough fight. It really is. She's got 2 Magnemites with Thunderbolt, Thunderwave. Honestly, and Supersonic as well, which become really, really annoying. She loves to spam those status moves. And then the Steelix in the back, with being the big powerhouse it is. First off, let's start with the Magnemite. We go for the Sleep Powder because we outspeed, and then we go for Leech Seed. This is going to help us out to take it down a lot quicker, just by chipping away. 2 returns and Leech Seed damage will take it out, and we haven't taken any hits yet. Brings into the Steelix, which is quite slow, and as long as we can get Sleep Powder, Leech Seed set up, we can just chip away at our leisure. We need to keep it asleep though, because if it wakes up and uses Iron Tail, that would deal a lot of damage out to us. It's going to be a long fight though. She uses a Hyper Potion up, meaning we have to start again. And here, as pretty much I'm just hoping we have enough return PP to... Oh wow. Iron Tail does just over half damage on us. But thankfully we can get it straight back to sleep, and from there we can take out the Steelix with Leech Seed in return. That just leaves the final Magnemite, and as long as we don't get hit by a Thunderbolt, we should be alright. Because even though Grass resists Electric, Flying type doesn't, mean it's a neutral bout of damage against us. The Magnemite though, as soon as it is asleep and we're not confused, it's an easy fight, and we finish on full HP. Hoppip has managed to beat a lot of these gym leaders first time, bar Morty and Whitney so far. But the next gym leader is not in a good position for us with being the Ice type. That brings us up to the Lake of Rage and of course the Rocket Side Quest, which, yeah, yay, Rocket Side Quest. Yay. Love this part of the game. But of course we need to go to the Lake of Rage first. We take down the discoloured Gyarados. I try to make that... Yeah. I don't even know what I was going to say there. We watch Lance Hyper Beam of Grunt, and that brings us to the penultimate fight of this little base. It was going to be a double fight, which I would have preferred instead of Lance coming in, because to be fair, Lance could have taken him out all on his own. This Rocket Executive though has an Arbok, which could be a problem if it manages to hit us with a poison move, but getting it to sleep, it's a one shot even at this level. Murkrow is very defensively weak, so another return takes it out. And finally Gloom, which will turn into a Vileplume in the very next fight. It manages to get an Acid out, but it's not a problem. We're very high level, we're kind of bulky at this point compared to their Pokemon, and we beat this base, meaning we can go against the next gym leader once we've killed all these Electrodes. But yeah, let's see how we do against Price. Price starts out with his Seal, and of course, I've got a new respect for this Pokemon line thanks to my Dugong Solo Run. Please go check that one out if you have not seen it yet. It was a great run, and I don't think anyone expected a Dugong to be as good as it was. In this fight though, he doesn't use it very good. We use a Dugong a lot better than Price does. That brings us through to the final Piloswine. Couple of returns and Leech Seed gets us the win. Of course he burns his Hyper Potion in the meantime, but there's nothing he can do to stand up to this little cotton ball. I mean, what is this Pokemon? It's based off like flower spores that fly in the wind. That's what I think it's based off. Let me know in the comments. I can't remember off the top of my head. There's a lot of Pokemon to try and remember from lore. That brings us to the Underground, and of course the next rival fight with Caleb. And this is a difficult fight as well. This time he's got a Golbat which can deal out big damage with wing attacks, because wing attacks is not a bad move in this generation compared to Gen 1 where it's 35 base power. But the most annoying thing is Magnemite here. Wakes up, uses Thunder Wave, meaning we are slower than everything on his team now. A couple of Sonic Booms managed to take off a lot of our HP, and it's not a good thing to be paralysed against a Haunter that knows Curse, because that's all it's going to spam, and you're going to take a loss. So yeah, let's try that again. Level 50 we're going into this, which only had to do with a couple of Pokemon being this level. Basically the reason why we didn't win the last one, I didn't get Sleep Powders off enough, or at least quick enough. But as soon as Sleep Powder is set up, we can return our way through these. Sleep Powder on the Magnemite. Hopefully it stays asleep this time, because we're dealing just about half damage out on the Magnemite. There we go. Brings us into the Haunter, and this is the big one. We don't get it to sleep, but it goes for Mean Look. And then we can Leech Seed it. This is all we can do against Ghost types. We can't do anything more. We just have to rely on the power of Leech Life, Leech Seed, and just keep it asleep as much as we can. It manages to wake up and use Shadow Ball, reducing our special defense, but after that we get it back to sleep. It didn't want to go for Curse this time, but we're on good HP going into the Sneasel. Sneasel, it's such a cool Pokemon, but it's just not good on this team. I know I was saying earlier that the rival is constructed very, very well. I think in the choice of Pokemon I mean that, but not the movesets that he has. Like, that Sneasel could have ice moves, but it doesn't. It's got like a Fury Cutter, Screech. Screech is a great move, but Fury Cutter, this late on into the game, is not the greatest one to be having on a rival team. Right at the top of the radio tower here, we have the fight with Archer, I think it is, in Gen 2. All of his Pokemon, bar the Coffin, are quite defensively weak. We take quite a quick win without taking any damage whatsoever. And finally we can head off after the Rocket side quest to the 8th gym, which is, of course, Claire the Dragon-type trainer. And we're going into this with a Cotton Spore. I wonder how this will turn out. Let's have a look. Claire starts off, of course, with one of her 3 Dragonairs. Yes, she has 3 Dragonairs in this fight. I mean, it makes sense considering at this level they would not be evolved into a Dragonite. But 3 of them is kind of obsessive. Like, she could have had a Dragon, a Dratini, a Dragonair, and then the Kingdra, and that would have made more sense. But 3 Dragonairs is just kind of annoying. Although, it's not really much of a problem for our little Cotton Spore, because as long as we can keep them asleep, return, we actually get a very easy win against her. Like, that was a very easy win. And then that brings us to the Pokemon League with the final rival fight. We sweep through a lot of the Pokemon with Leech Seed, Return, and Sleep Powder. And the Golbat becomes such a problem. Like, its status moves are just very, very annoying. Typhlosion, as soon as we've got Leech Seed set up, oh, wow, Flame Wheel does decent damage. We can take it down pretty comfortably. Magneton is out next, and annoyingly we get Paralysed. Of course we get Paralysed. This is Gen 2 and I'm RetroBrown, and that means that we're going to get every status effect thrown at us. And we're also going to get Paralysed a lot more as well. Brings us into Haunter, and of course he goes for Curse straight away. That means a quarter of my HP will be getting diminished every single turn, and this is why we need Synthesis. We need to keep our HP up, but it just doesn't help when we're on 21 HP going into a Kadabra. I tried to go for Return, but it just didn't work out for us. So we need to try that again, and from here we get much better luck. Sometimes that's all you need, just a little bit of luck. We sweep through the first 2 Pokemon without taking too much damage, but then we get burnt against the Typhlosion, which is just fantastic. Our returns are going to do a lot less damage now, but it also means that we cannot get Paralysed, which it's kind of a blessing in disguise. We're going to take some damage every turn, but we're also not going to be able to get Paralysed, meaning we can always outspeed. As long as we can keep our HP up with Synthesis and Leech Seed, we'll be alright. We need to keep that up, and then return for the win. Finally is the Haunter, and here is just, wow, this is going to be a hard fight. Burn damage is doing a lot on us, but we're managing to keep our HP up. We haven't got many useless synthesis left, but Leech Seed is doing its work, and we can finally beat that Haunter. We're on 40 HP going to the Kadabra. I get it to sleep. We use synthesis one last time, and then return twice for the win. That was a hard fought fight, but thankfully, strange enough, Burn in this generation helped me. Let's see how we do against the Pokemon League. First up is Will, and he's got quite a varied team. I quite like Will's team. It's quite well constructed, apart from the fact he's got a duplicate Xatu. There's another Psychic type he could have had, like Girafarig here, but who am I to say what team he should have had? Jinx is a great Pokemon because it's got Ice typing, which, if you can couple it with the right thing, is a great typing to have. But it's very defensively weak, meaning it goes down to at least one return. Second Xatu comes out and 2 returns take that down. Are we going to sweep Will on the very first try? Pretty much, yeah, we are. Leech Seed will not hit a Grass type, meaning all we need to do is get it to sleep and then return for the win against the Executor, which will take a lot of hits because it's quite defensively bulky. And it also sets up Reflect. Psychic does pretty good damage on us, and we're into the final Slowbro, which he's kept in the back because he recognises that he's a Water type and we're a Grass type, so that's why he'll keep it in the back for this fight. That's another nice thing I like about Gen 2. It's the fact that the Pokemon AI looks at what typing your Pokemon is and then changes which Pokemon it sends out based on that. So we beat Will first time and move on to Koga. So Koga is actually going to be a very hard fight for us. For the fact we miss loads of sleep powders. We have to rely on Leech Seed. And of course, he has a lot of poison type Pokemon. So yeah, we're not in for a good time here. As long as we can hit our sleep powders though, we can get Leech Seed set up, we can start chipping away at them. But not one Pokemon in his team I can one-shot with return. Even with our maxed out friendship, it is just not possible to one-shot any of his team at this level. The Crobat is such an annoying Pokemon as well. It's fast, it has Toxic, it has Double Team. It's a massive threat. And we just need to try and take it down and keep our HP up. We've ran out of sleep powders, so we now need to just go for the returns. Wing Attack will do big damage on us, but we're just missing our hits thanks to Double Team. And we need to try that again. He is very annoying for this Pokemon line. One of the big problems about the last fight, I didn't go in with full PP, so this time we had to. We used one of our Ethers, and from here, we can start dealing out bigger damage. And not worrying about the uses of Sleep Powder that we have. Sleep Powder is just such a good move. Like, the sleep status effect in Pokemon is just busted compared to the likes of Burn, Paralysis, and Poison. It's just so good. Like, debilitating them for however many turns where you can get damage in. Great status effect. The Crobat is back out now, and because it stays asleep this time, we can get 3 returns in to get the win. And that's not a very defensively bulky Pokemon, it still took us 3 returns. Get the Venomoth to sleep, which I just really don't enjoy the Venomoth line. Although I've not used the Venomoth in Gen 1 yet, I've used Venonat and I just did not enjoy that Pokemon. Maybe Venomoth will change my mind on that. Last Pokemon out is the Forretress, and of course, it's a Steel type. Meaning, we have to use Leech Seed. He decides to go for Spikes of all things, but it's just not enough. And we can go against Bruno. Strangely enough, Hitmonchan and Onix are going to be the biggest threats on this entire team. Reason for that? Pretty much, they've got Rock-type moves. Oh, I went into that without even using my Ethers there. Let's try that again. So, Sleep Powder on the Hitmontop. Leech Seed or Return, best plays to do. I know it kind of gets a bit repetitive, but this strategy works. Like it does. I proved this on Jumpluff, I proved this on Skiploom. It's going to work for Hoppip as well. The Hitmonchan, of course, has Ice Punch and Fire Punch, and they do massive damage with his Pokemon. Compared to the Hitmonchan we went against very early on in this run over at Cyanwood, yeah, this Hitmonchan is a cut above the rest. It's also got Mach Punch as well, which is a good move. Like a really good move for this generation. Brings into the Onix, and thankfully we can get it to sleep before it can hit us. Leech Seed it, but then it wakes up and uses Rock Slide. And normally Onix is not a strong Pokemon, but those Rock Slides hurt. When we can get back to sleep though, we are pretty much waiting on Leech Seed, dealing big damage out. He manages to set up a Sandstorm as well, which is not good for us whatsoever, and then starts using Rock Slide. This is why this Onix is a big threat to us, because of Sandstorm and Rock Slide. We managed to take it down eventually though, and the Sandstorm rages on. It's going to subside the next turn, and we can get the Machamp to sleep. We Leech Seed, we return, and we're just going for the win here. Strangely, Machamp, even though it's got all those muscles, is kind of defensively weak. And last up is Hitmonlee, which if we get hit by High Jump Kick, could do a big amount of damage, even though we've got 2 resisted types to it. But either way, we take the win and go against Karen. I'm not a fan of Karen's team. Yes, she's got Umbreon, which is a dark type. She's got Murkrow and Houndoom, which are dark types. But Vileplume and Gengar, I don't feel like they've got a place on this team. She could have used Sneasel, which would have been honestly so much better than using Vileplume. Gengar, considering the moves it does have, yeah, it's fair enough, I would say. But I just feel like, yeah, she's trying to use her favourite Pokemon, but she's the dark type trainer. Yeah. She's the dark type trainer, she doesn't use all of her team being dark types, which is just weird. Anyway, we get into the Gengar, and of course it's same as all the other ghost type fights we've done in this run so far. Gengar can only be taken down by our Leech Seeds. Unless we decide to run out of PP and start using Struggle, which I don't want to do personally, we should be alright as long as we can keep it to sleep. It does have the move Curse, which would really not help us out here. But as long as Leech Seed does its work, Spite takes down 2 PP of Sleep Power, that's not good. We can then go into the Murkrow and take it out with 2 returns. Thankfully it only has Fate Attack to hit us with there, and we take the win against Karen. That just leaves the last trainer, the champion Lance. Now Lance's team is a threat. He's got very powerful Pokemon, he has got a Charizard of all things, and being a grass flying type, that's not a great scenario for us. His Gyarados, of course, also has Hyper Beam, so we need to try and keep our HP up, keep it asleep so we can go into the next Dragonite and hopefully outspeed it. If we can't outspeed the Charizard or the Dragonites, we're kind of screwed on this, because some of his Dragonites, of course, have Ice type moves, and we don't want to be hit by Blizzard, which is 4 times effective to us. I'm pretty sure it's 4 times effective, or it's only 2 times. Is Grass weak to Ice? I can't remember off the top of my head. Let me know down in the comments, because I don't remember off things off the top of my head, as you've found on quite a lot of my videos. The Aerodactyl, of course, is also a big threat because it's got Rock Slide, and I always forget that Rock Slide can flinch. So we take a loss. I tried so many more times, but that Aerodactyl just was immovable. You just couldn't get past it at that level. We used our rare candies, went up to level 75, and only at that level could we tank 2 Rock Slides if need be. Once we've got Leech Seed up, we can start getting our HP back, but the Charizard goes down to 1 return. Brings us into the final Dragonite, who decides to use Fire Blast. How did we tank a Fire Blast there? That is ridiculous. When we finally get through to the final Dragonite, he's thrown everything at us. He's put Leech, he's paralysed us, he's thrown Fire Blast at us, he's thrown Hyper Beams at us, he's thrown Rock Slides at us. But our little Cotton Ball powers through and becomes the Johtonian champion. We did that in 9 hours 58 minutes. Wow, this took me so long. And I'm very glad to see the back of this Pokemon line, because these are not quick runs. They're fun. Like, you've got a lot you can do, but they're just not quick runs. Let's see how we do against Blue, the former champion. And at level 80, we might be able to do this at level 80, but he's got a very powerful team, which is not really tailored towards our strengths. Arcanine could do massive damage with Flamethrower. He's got full restores to recover from sleep. He's also got Alakazam, which is there because they're really nerfed to Psychic types in this generation. Annoyingly though, we're indoors, which means Synthesis will not do all too much recovery. Rhydon, of course, also has Rock Slide, and Rhydon's a real threat compared to his Gen 1 Rhydon. Like, his Gen 1 Rhydon was a joke. It had, like, Tail Whip, Stomp, Fury Attack, and Leer in the final fight. It's a joke of a Pokemon. But in Gen 2, his Rhydon gets a major upgrade with Rock Slide. And of course, it also gets Sandstorm. We power through so many of his team using Return. And here we also need to keep this Rhydon asleep because he's going to set up Sandstorm. He's going to try and deal chip damage before going for the Rock Slides. Of course, with Sandstorm up, the Rock-type Pokemon also get a boost in one of their stats. Brings into the Gyarados, and as long as we don't get hit by Hyper Beam here, we should be... Ooh, wow, that did a lot of damage. We get it to sleep, we recover back up, and thankfully it's only a Graze that we can recover from. Last up's Executor, which is not a threat whatsoever. It's the reason why he's kept in the back of his team. At level 81, we beat Blue. But are we going to be that level to beat Red? Let's take a look. Red starts off with his trusty Pikachu, which decides to set up a Charm. Not the greatest start to the fight because we're a physical attacking Pokemon here with Return, so we really did not want to be hit by Charm. Charizard, of course, outspeeds us and takes us out in one. That wasn't even a critical hit. So I tried this a lot going all the way up to level 100, and it was only at level 100 that we could tank one Flamethrower. So from there we can use Leech Seed, get it to sleep, and then chip away at it to get down that annoying Charizard. This is the very first attempt I actually managed to beat that Charizard on. And that was the biggest threat of the team. Hands down the biggest threat of the team. The Espeon, it deals out good damage, but it's not really that much of a problem. Big Snorlax though, that is a problem. But there's an interesting thing about this. Because it's got so much HP, look how much recovery we're getting back from Leech Seed. Pretty much his Snores are non-existent because of it. The Venusaur, not a problem for us whatsoever. We can just keep returning. And that brings to the final Blastoise, where Leech Seed, Sleep Powder, and Return, the moveset we've had since the very beginning, well, Goldenrod, gets us the win. If you're looking to spend a lot of time on a solo run, I'd recommend the Hoppip line. But if you're not looking to do that, yeah, don't use this line. It is very tedious, very repetitive. But it is possible to beat the game using Hoppip without Double Team, and I'm quite happy with that. 12 hours and 4 minutes though, that's a long time. Oh my word. Hopefully we can get a better choice this time round. First up is Lantern. We have done the Chinchou run, and honestly I like this line. It's a good Pokemon line. Second up is Cleffa. Oh god. Am I going to put myself through another tedious run? Oh, what's third up? Ledian. No, I think we should get out of the way. Let's go with the Cleffa run. Oh god. Out the baby Pokemon, I don't think this is going to be the best one. If you got to this point in the video, guys, please smash that like and subscribe. You know I love it, you legends. And we will see you next week for the Cleffa only run. Take care.